Navoodaya Vidyaniketan.
Hello my dear children, how are you all? Are you happy? You all are happy? Okay, today we are going to do some activities. We are going to learn grammar. Do you love to learn grammar? Why? What happened? Why your face is like this? You don't like to learn grammar? It is actually interesting. It is very interesting to learn grammar. Let's have some fun today. We are going to learn the grammar part of the second chapter, the magical book. You have learned that chapter, isn't it? The magical book. What was the story? Yes, it was the story of a boy named Harish who never kept his book neat and clean. Isn't it? He never kept his book neat and clean. So, we are going to learn the grammar part of the chapter, the magical book. I'll tell you a small thing. I'll tell you something. You know one thing? Today, when I got up early in the morning, I entered into the bathroom and I saw a snake. I entered to the bathroom. I saw a snake. I was afraid. I saw a snake. Suddenly, I took a stick. And I killed the snake. I killed the snake. Did you find anything special in the sentences? What have I told you? I entered to the bathroom. I saw a snake. I took a stick. I killed the snake. Did you find anything? Did you find anything special in the sentences? I'll write it on the board. I entered the room. I entered the room. Okay, I entered the room. I saw a snake. I saw a snake. I took a stick. I took a stick. I killed the snake. I killed the snake. Can you read the sentences? I entered the room. I saw a snake. I took a stick. I killed the snake. Did you find anything special in the sentences? Can you be able to find it out? I'll help you. Entered, saw, took, killed. Now just observe these underlined words. Can you tell the speciality of these words? Entered, saw, took, killed. All these things we can do with our body, isn't it? We can do all these things with our body. These all are actions. These all are actions. These all are actions. What all are the actions in these sentences? Entered. We can do with our body. I entered the room. It's an action, isn't it? Entered. So, I saw. This with my eyes. It's an action we can do with our eyes. I saw the snake. Okay. I saw the snake. I took a stick. I took a stick. with my hand. That's an action I can do with my hand. I took a stick. I killed the snake. That's also an action. I killed the snake with the stick. I killed the snake. So, I entered the room. I saw a snake. I took a stick. I killed the snake. All these words in the sentence are actions. So, these words are the main part of this sentence. Imagine if this word is not there. I, the room. Is the sentence complete? No, the sentence is not complete. I, so is not here. Imagine, so is not here. I ate snake. Is the sentence having any meaning? No, the sentence is not complete. And the sentence does not have any meaning without so. I, a stick. Is it a complete sentence? It's not a complete sentence. I, the snake. It's also not complete. So, we understood that all these words in these sentences are used to describe the action. Entered, an action. So, it's an action. Took, it's also an action. And killed, I killed snake. All these actions we can do with our body. These words are called action words. They are called action words. All these words are used to describe action. They are called action words. Action words, they are having another name. What's the name? Action words are also called verb. Verb. V-E-R-B. Action words are called verbs. Action words are called verbs. So, in all these sentences, these words are used to describe the action. These words are used to describe the action. These words are the main part. These words are the main part of this sentences. They can be called as action words. And in another word, they can be called as verbs. Did you understand what is verbs? Can you tell it me in a sentence? What is verb? What is verb? We learned all these words describe action, and action words can be called as verbs also. Can you make it in a sentence? Can you make it? Can you try? Okay. Can you tell me? Yes, action words are called verbs. Very good. Action words are called verbs. Write it in your notebook. Action words are called verbs. Action words are called verbs. So, we learn a word in a sentence that describes an action can be called as action words, and action words are called verbs. So, you understood what is verbs. Is it clear for you? Is it clear? So, now you know what is verbs. Okay. Can you find some examples for verbs? In the beginning, I have told you that all the actions that we can do with our body are called action words. Action words are also called verbs. Now, is it easy for you to find some examples for verbs? Is it easy? Let's try. Take your notebooks. Let's try. So, we are going to learn verbs. we can call it as action words. Action words are called words. We are going to learn verbs. So, we should give a small definition for verb, isn't it? We have to give a small definition for verbs. Write in your notebook. A verb is the main part of, yes, can you tell it? A verb is the main part of speech. A verb is the main part of speech and it is used to describe, very good, actions. A verb is the main part of the speech which is used to describe action. So, a verb is the main part of speech. It is used to describe action. Describe action. A verb is the main part of speech. It is used to describe action. I have told you one more thing. Sentences are incomplete when there is no verb. Yes, sentences are incomplete. Sentences are incomplete without verb. So, what have we learned? Verbs. Verbs can also be called as action words. A verb is the main part of speech. It is used to describe action. Sentences are incomplete without verbs. So, you have got an idea about verbs. What is verbs? Yes, tell me. What is verb? Verb is the main part of speech. It is used to describe action and sentences are incomplete without verb. Is it clear for you? Have you understood what is verb? Can you repeat it once again? Yes. Verbs are the main part of the speech. It is used to describe action and, very good, sentences are incomplete without verbs. So you understood, isn't it? It is clear for you. Okay, shall we move on to the next? Okay. So we have learned verbs and examples for verbs. Now there are two types of verbs. There are two types of verbs. They are regular verbs and irregular verbs. Regular verbs. Regular verbs. Do you know what is regular verbs? We have learned verbs, isn't it? When we add D or ED, when we add D or ED with base verbs, when we add D or ED with base verbs to convert it into past tense. Past tense, they are called regular verbs. They are called regular verbs. When we add d or ed with base verbs to convert it into past tense, they are called regular verbs. Did you understand? Shall we do some examples? Okay. Now listen. I'll give you some examples. Examples for regular verbs. Examples for regular verbs. There are some base verbs. Cook. Cook is a base verb. To convert it into past tense, we add d or ed with cook. To convert these base verbs into past tense, we add d or ed with the base verb, and it can be converted into past tense as, can you tell? Cook plus d or ed. Cook plus ed. And when we convert it into past tense, it is cooked. It is cooked. Can you repeat it? When we add d or ed with the base form of verbs to convert it into past tense, it can be called as regular verbs. We'll go for one more example. Jump. Jump. It's an action. Jump. We should add d or ed. What should we add? Ed. Jump plus ed, and when we convert it into past tense, it is jumped. It is jumped. Is it clear? Is it clear for you? Shall I give you some more examples? I'll give you some base forms. You have to add d or ed to convert it into past tense. Okay? I'll give you some more examples. Jump, cook, open, finish. Can you convert this into past tense using d or ed? You have to convert this into past tense. Jump plus d or ed. Ed. Jump plus ed. And in past tense, it is jumped. It is jumped. Cook plus d or ed. Ed. Cook plus ed. And in past tense, it becomes cooked. It becomes cooked. Open. Can you do it alone? Open plus ed, and it becomes opened. It becomes opened. And what about finish? Finish plus ed, and it is finished. It is finished. So you have understood what is verb, examples for verbs, what is regular verbs and examples for regular verbs. When we add D or ED with the base form of a verb to make it into past tense. When we add D or ED with base form of verb to convert it into past tense, it can be called as regular verbs. When we add D or ED with the base form of a verb to convert it into past tense, it can be called as regular verbs. For example, jump plus ED, jumped. Cook plus ED, cooked. Open plus ED, opened. And finish plus ED, finish. So, you understood regular verbs and its examples. Okay, now we'll move on to irregular verbs. Irregular verbs. Irregular verbs. So, we learned that when we add D or ED with base form of the verb to convert it into past tense, it is called regular verb. So, can you tell what is irregular verbs? Irregular verbs are the words to which we cannot add D or ED with the base form of the verb. In irregular verbs, we cannot add D or ED with base verbs. With base verbs. In irregular verbs, we cannot add D or ED with base verbs to make it into past tense. So, in irregular verbs, we cannot add D or ED with base verbs to convert it into past tense. Is it clear? Did you understand? Okay. I will give you some examples. For irregular verbs, I will give you some examples. Eat. Can you add D or ED with this and convert it into past tense? If we add D or ED with this, eated. Is there a word like that? Is it correct? No, it's wrong. We cannot add D or ED with the word eat. Instead, we have to write it as ate. We have to write it as ate. So, when we convert eat into past tense, it is ate. Run. Run. When we convert it into past tense, it is ran. It is ran. Now, take. Take. It is took. It is took. So you can find that with all these words we cannot add D or ED. We cannot add D or ED with the base form of these verbs. These kind of words are known as irregular verbs. So we learned verbs, regular verbs and irregular verbs. We cannot add D or ED with the base form of these verbs, and these verbs can be known as irregular verbs. Did you understand? Is it clear for you now? Okay. Now we are going to the next exercise. In your textbook, take page number 10 and see the exercise C1. C1. Write the past tense form of these verbs. some verbs are given and we have to write the past tense form of these verbs. Swim. What is the past tense of swim? It is swam. Swam. Now, have. Have. What is the past tense? Had. Had. The past tense of have is had. Take. We have learned just now. Take. Very good. Took. Took. The past tense of take is took. Buy. Buy. Past tense is bought. Bought. Past tense of buy is bought. Write. Write. Past tense is wrote. Wrote. Swim, swam, have, had, take, took, buy, bought, write, wrote. Bring, bring, brought, brought. The past tense of bring is brought. Win, won. Past tense of win is won. So, swim, swam, have, had, take, took, buy, bought, write, wrote, bring, brought, and win, won. So, we have learned the past tense of all these base verbs. We have learned past tense of all these verbs. Now, what you have to do is take page number 10, exercise C2. Have you seen? Fill in the blanks in the following sentences using the irregular past tense form of C1. Have you seen that? In C1 exercise, we have done all these past tense forms. These are the base verbs and we have converted it into past tense. Using these past tense words, you have to fill in the blanks. Exercise C1. Did you understand? You have to read the sentences and fill in the blanks. Okay. Did you understand? You have to write it in your notebook and take a photo and send to school WhatsApp group. Okay. Did you understand? Thank you. See you in next class.